Hello everyone, welcome back to The Last Lap. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down everything from this past weekend. For NASCAR, all three series raced. There was a truck race at Gateway, and the Xfinity and the Cup Series raced at Michigan. But before we hop into it, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really does go a long way, helps the channel grow. You can also hit that little bell that notifies you when we upload a new video, which is usually every Monday and Friday. And you can also check us out on Instagram at The Last Lap News. We try to post some content throughout the week in between our YouTube videos on here, whether it's breaking news that came out, a finish to a race, a wreck, anything like that. We try to post on Instagram for you guys as well throughout the week. As always, I have my friend and co-host Matthew on the show, and tonight, aka Sunday night when we're recording this, is our last night as, I guess you could call it juniors. We're rising seniors, getting ready to start up school on Monday, so how you feeling going into this final school year?
I'm not looking forward to getting up at 6 in the morning again. I'm not ready for that part, but other than that, I'm ready for the semester. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. And, yep. That's all I got to say for that one, and I'm ready to break down what we just saw this week.
Surprisingly, the racing was really good this weekend. We'll hop into the truck and Xfinity recap first. In the truck series, Sheldon Creed ended up getting the win. KBM kind of struggled a little bit. John Hunter Nemechek's truck kind of shut off, or he had some type of issue on the front stretch, and it caused a pretty decent pileup involving a bunch of championship contenders. Like I said, Sheldon Creed would get the win, and he would advance into the next round. Definitely a strong run for him, showing that he can possibly upset, once we get down to the final few races there in the playoffs, maybe he could upset John Hunter Nemechek, but he definitely showed some speed and got the win. And in the Xfinity series, AJ Allmendinger would get the win, coming off the incredible run at the Brickyard in the Cup Series. He would get the win in the Xfinity series on Saturday. There was a big crash at the start of Stage 2 involving Austin Cindric. He was pretty much the main driver involved there. Daniel Hemrick, I believe, was also involved in that wreck. Unfortunate breaks for both of them. I believe Cindric might have had the best car, but he was taken out, and AJ Allmendinger would hold on to some late race restarts and get the win. And Matthew, that's pretty much it for those two races. I fell asleep during Stage 2 of the truck race, I'm pretty sure. I didn't even finish watching the truck race, but I saw the highlights on social media and stuff, and saw that was a pretty good race, and I watched the Xfinity race as well, and that was a pretty good weekend for those two series. So what do you have to say about them really quick?
Well, those were good races for both of those series. I was managed to stay awake for the truck race. I was barely awake, though, as it ended like 12:30 something out here in the morning in the East Coast area. So that felt like forever, but it was impressive. It was a dominating win by Sheldon Creed. Hopefully John Hunter Nemechek rebounds, because we can't afford to have another William Byron situation when he does great, and actually, he blows an engine in one race, and that can't advance the championship forward. So we can't have something like that happening. Or I will not be happy, or any other NASCAR fan won't be happy, because you know how this playoff format is sometimes. It's really unfair sometimes. But as for the Xfinity race, it's always a great day when AJ Allmendinger wins, with his raw emotions as always, including the last weekend, the Cup Series, and now he wins again in Michigan. I definitely feel like AJ Allmendinger is now definitely up there in terms of championship contending for the playoffs. I mean, he can win on ovals now. It's not just a one time when he won an oval. He can win ovals now. So I think we gotta watch out for AJ Allmendinger if I were Cindric. But yeah, it was a really good race for both of those races.
Alright, so hopping into the Cup Series recap. Early on in the race, Martin Truex Jr. had some contact with, coincidentally, his teammate Kyle Busch. Truex would fall way back in the field, back into the 30s, I believe, before the competition caution came out, because the damage was basically like a parachute to that car, and it was slowing it down. Kyle Busch didn't have too much damage. He would pit and repair a little bit of it and make his way back up through the field. In Stage 2, it was the Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Austin Dillon show for most of that stage until closer to the end of it. until there was some pit strategy there near at the end of stage 2. The JGR cars ended up pitting and taking 2 tires under green flag conditions, and the Cup and the Hendrick cars took 4 tires under green flag conditions. So that got Kyle Busch out in front, and he would win stage 2. And at the end of stage 2, Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski were fighting for, it was probably like a top 5 spot, something like that. And Austin Dillon crosses the line and comes up just a little bit, and Brad Keselowski didn't give him enough room, or Dillon didn't expect him to be there, and Dillon basically hooked himself and wrecked right into the outside wall. Really hard hit. I'm glad he was okay. Took him out of the race. Just a little bit of a, I don't want to say bonehead move there, just a little bit probably too aggressive on both of their parts. I believe it was just a racing incident, nothing intentional, but that should not happen in coming to the end of stage 2 in a race. Took Austin Dillon out of the race, basically handed Tyler Reddick some points there, since both of them are fighting for that final spot. Heading into stage 3, relatively smooth stage. Kyle Larson cycled his way back up to the front. William Byron was up there. Denny Hamlin was up there. Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch pitted under that caution, and that basically cost them their track position, and couldn't really get back up to the front until late. Kyle Busch kind of got back up to the front, but unfortunately with this package it's really hard to pass under green flag conditions. But there was a caution for a few raindrops coming with about 20 laps to go. I think NASCAR's a little bit scared, so every time that they see a raindrop on the track, I think they're going to throw the caution now, just because of what happened a few weeks ago. But I believe that was the right call, because racing at Michigan on an oval like that with even a little bit of rain could cause an issue. So they threw the caution for rain. The shower quickly passed over, and they went back racing. And that caused a wreck coming out of turn 4. So Tyler Reddick basically dive bombed Joey Logano going into turn 3, came up in front of him. Joey Logano could have easily ran into the back and hit Tyler Reddick and spun him around, but since he checked up, Martin Truex ran into the back of Logano, and Truex just plowed through Joey Logano. He didn't even consider stopping, so Truex basically wiped out Joey Logano, spun him out, got a few other drivers involved. Chase Elliott barely missed that wreck, and I mean barely. Like, I posted it on my social media. That was a very close call for Chase Elliott there. Unfortunately, it didn't really mean much for him, just because he still didn't get up to the front. But there was that wreck, and then, let's see, there was a restart after that. I believe it was about 8 to go or something like that, and I'm trying to think. William Byron was on the front row. Denny Hamlin was behind him on the outside. And on the inside, it was Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch was behind him. And both those first 2 rows got going really well. And Denny Hamlin tried to go up top and make a move, and Byron blocked it. And that pretty much handed Ryan Blaney the lead. Ryan Blaney flew by and washed up in front of Byron. And then from there on, it was just chaos. Everybody was all over the racetrack, blocking moves and everything like that. It was basically a restrictor plate race out there, this final probably about 10 laps or so. William Byron and Kyle Larson were they were basically fighting with each other for second, and none of them could really get to Ryan Blaney, and out of nowhere, Ryan Blaney comes out and steals this race. That's the second time this season he's stolen a win from Hendrick Motorsports and Kyle Larson. He did it back earlier in the year at Atlanta, and he does it again here. Right place, right time for Ryan Blaney. He got a heck of a push from Kyle Busch on that restart, and he would go on to get the win. So congratulations to Ryan Blaney, getting his second win of the season, giving him a boost of momentum as we get towards these playoffs. But that's all that I got for the recap of the race. Matthew, what do you have to say about it?
Well, this race I can easily describe as an exciting race, but also a frustrating race. It was exciting because there was a lot of it was a great battle for the lead going on, especially around I think it was stage 2, and also a part of stage 3 as well. Mostly it was always had 2 Hendrick cars in that mix, but it was also frustrating because of this package. Again, you cannot pass, it seems like. I mean, once you get behind the car, you have a big old parachute on the back, and it just stalls your momentum, kills your momentum, and that's just extremely frustrating for me. But at the same time, it was also very exciting while I was watching. So I mean, I was talking trash about Michigan in our preview video. I might have to do that more often. We're going to get more exciting Michigan races in the future. But man, it was actually a surprisingly good race. So I'll say that. That whole Austin Dillon Brad Keselowski ordeal. Here's the thing with that. I mean, I feel like that was mainly Austin Dillon's fault right there, because I mean, he just came up on him thinking Keselowski was like on the other side of the other, like on the high line basically, and he just cut Keselowski's front bumper. I mean, could Keselowski give him some space after the stage win? Maybe, but I mean, I was mostly on Dillon right there. I feel like, you know, the sponsor said he wasn't clear and all that, but that just that was unfortunate right there. Thank goodness for safer barriers, and that's why we have safer barriers all around the track, even if they don't really hit that certain part of the track often. This is why we have it right there. And Ryan Blaney came out of nowhere. It seems like he and Alex Bowman are pretty much like the same driver. They always come out of nowhere at the end of these races and win it. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I mean, they just come out of nowhere. It seems like he and Bowman. So it was like I said, it was a really surprisingly good race, but it was also really frustrating over the whole package of how you got a big old parachute in the bag once you get in the back and so on. But man, maybe Blaney should start giving Kyle Busch some Christmas cards for that big old push in the final restart, because without that push, that would have been either Byron or Larson's race right there to win it. So Ryan Blaney got one heck of a push, and that basically what gave him that win right there.
Yeah, I agree. That was Kyle Busch gave Ryan Blaney a heck of a shove. I think Byron might have spun the tires just a tiny bit as well, and that definitely helped Ryan Blaney get going. But Ryan Blaney definitely stole one there. As far as the top 10 goes, I'll list that off really quick. So Ryan Blaney ended up getting the win. The Hendrick Motorsports teammates William Byron and Kyle Larson finished second and third. They were pretty much near the top the most of that third stage. Kyle Larson was up there pretty much all day. Kurt Busch finished fourth, a great run for him. He was up there for most of the race as well in the top 5, top 10. Danny Hamlin ended up getting a top 5 and 5th. Matt DiBenedetto finished 6th, so great run for him. He was strong early in the race, and I believe had a bad pit stop and ended up coming back, getting a strong top 10 out of his day. Great for him. Kyle Busch finished 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, Brad Keselowski finished 9th, and Martin Truex Jr. would round out the top 10. So that's the top 10 for you guys, and I guess it's time to go ahead and rate this race. So for me, I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I think I'll give it an 8. There were some points where it was a little bit frustrating with that package, but I mean, there was really never anybody that pulled away from the field. It was relatively tight towards the front. Nobody could pass. It was a little bit hard with this package. But yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Pretty solid race. The final 20 laps or so were pretty exciting, and that final restart for sure was crazy with drivers all over the place, 4 or 5 wide and all of that. That's one reason I like Michigan. It's a really wide racetrack. Get some really crazy racing down there at the end of the races here. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10, and what are you going to rate it?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for this one. The racing was great, way better than I expected, but I still don't like the package. It ruins the big runs that these guys get. I mean, they get up on the side, get up on the back, and next you know, parachute comes out. Can't do anything. So that's my only nitpick about it. But other than that, it was a really good race.
Yeah, I would have liked to see William Byron or Kyle Larson try to get back by Blaney and make it a little bit more interesting. Byron almost
did.
Yeah, Byron almost had it. He had a run coming off of turn 4, coming to the checker flag. Almost got to Blaney there. Blaney did a good job of defending as well. He defended the bottom lane going into turn 3 on the final lap, which I think was a smart move. Made Byron go way up to the top of the racetrack and lose a little bit of ground. So Blaney did his job. He defended, but at the same time, the package makes it really hard to pass when you're up at the front of the field. So unfortunately, it is what it is. Hopefully, NASCAR takes some notes going into the next season with this next-gen car, and hopefully this 550 package is no more after this season. So, but I am glad that they used that resin instead of the traction compound. It made it a little bit more interesting. I personally think they should have put it on the bottom of the racetrack because the top, it seemed to be where people went just about anyways, but I think it worked a little bit. Would it have worked just as good without having that stuff on the track? I don't know, but I think it worked decently. It worked okay, so that's pretty much all I have to say about that. And do you have any other thoughts before we go ahead? We gotta do our fantasy. I'm sorry. So nobody got points this week. That might sound like a shocker, but it's true. So none of us picked Sheldon Creed to win in the Truck Series, and then AJ Allmendinger won the Xfinity Series, and Ryan Blaney kind of came out of nowhere and won in the Cup Series. So none of us got any points, which means that you will get your picks going into Daytona next week, which is going to be a complete Hail Mary. So we'll have to see about that. But now, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this episode up?
Let's see. Oh yeah, I think NASCAR needs to do something about the ARCA series right now, because right now what I see is a bunch of spoiled brats in that series just taking each other out basically. Like I saw in Michigan, there was an accident and a kid got injured because I guess some kid decided to go ape, and decided to put him in the wall. And when you're going like 180 some miles per hour, so NASCAR needs to do something about that series. I mean, there's no veterans. There's all these spoiled rich kids, out there going absolutely crazy out there taking each other out. It seems like, so that's the only thing I gotta say.
Yeah, and also the regular season championship is still kind of tight. I think Kyle Larson has a 28-point lead on Denny Hamlin there, so that'll be interesting to watch. And then Kevin Harvick also clinched his way into the playoffs on points. I forgot to mention that as well. So it's basically Tyler Reddick versus Austin Dillon, and then if anybody wins,
whoever wins Daytona.
Yeah, if anybody wins Daytona that isn't in the playoffs, that'll knock Tyler Reddick out. So there's only one spot left, and hope Tyler Reddick could get in on points. Austin Dillon could get on points, or someone can win and knock both of them out. So that's gonna be that's gonna be really interesting.
It could be Suarez. It could be Bubba Wallace. It could be it could be Ryan Newman. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's gonna be a crazy race. I feel like it's gonna be another one of those crash-filled races, and it's probably gonna be a surprise winner. That's gonna be my guess.
Yeah, I love that they changed it to Daytona as the final race of the regular season. You get all this drama, all this hype. And then you got Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick fighting for points, but if somebody else wins, that doesn't even matter, and it knocks both of them out. So it'll be interesting for sure to watch Daytona. That'll be next week on Saturday night. So until then, we'll try to keep you guys updated on anything else that comes out throughout the week. Make sure you guys subscribe, tune in to our videos, and until then, we'll see you guys in our next video.